What's going on, everybody? ShinKensou here once again, brand new video. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about something I call the rat race in gaming and I guess really just gaming, right? The rat race. So what do I mean by the rat race? Well, the rat race exists in gaming in regards to how fast you need to improve. I think sometimes people put too much importance on being good now versus being good later. Now, of course, on one front, you can say every game has an expiration date. Every game has its time. And sometimes you just don't know how long that's going to be, especially in fighting games, right? But I think sometimes people get lost in that too much and it consumes them, and then they get into a burnout phase, and then they don't even want to play anymore because they spent so much time. Oh, I grinded. You know, you're putting your nose to the grindstone, and you're just like, you know, sometimes it's hard to tell people are actually having fun, you know. And I think that's something that has been a problem for a while. And I think people need to understand that, like, it's okay if you're not good now, you know. Sometimes it takes people a long time to like really get their craft down, and everyone learns differently, you know. There's like not much you can do about that, especially if, like, let's say you're a slow learner or whatever. That's really entirely up to you on how fast you digest things and whatnot, you know. So you can always adjust that, but you have to also remember at the same time that, like, there's no real such thing as instant results, you know. Like, for example, you can't watch like some match videos of some high-level player and expect to execute the exact same thing that they're doing in your matches, because their level of thinking is a lot different than your own and your opponent, because there's two different levels of play. So just because you watch, say, I don't know, we'll use Daigo for this example, you know. I'm a big fan of Daigo too, right? Daigo Umehara. You watch a Daigo match and you want to play like Daigo, but you also have to understand why Daigo's doing what he's doing, you know? You can't just, well, I saw Daigo do this, so I'm going to do it too. That's okay. It's okay to emulate, you know, the best players, but at the same time, you have to understand that it took time for Daigo to get to that point, you know? His reaction speeds and whatnot. Like, your reaction speeds are not going to be the same as his, but you can train it to be that way. On one front, it may look like, you know, Daigo just got that shit overnight, but that's not really the case. It took a lot of practice for him to get to that point. And the same for a lot of high-level players. They had to practice to get there. I think this is really just a thing where, like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, you know, don't rush your progress. It's okay to be weak early, you know, or take the time out to make all your mistakes, you know. Because one thing some people forget to do is, like, in having fun, you have to remember you're going to make mistakes, or like to hone your craft, you're going to have to make mistakes, you know. And it's okay to make mistakes and acknowledge that, okay, I made a mistake, let's tighten up, you know. Be objective about what you're doing, you know. Don't hold it against yourself too hard. Don't beat yourself up too hard. Like, it's okay to not be good at something right away. You know, some people learn faster than others, and their success is not something that you should be focused on. You should be focused on your own success and focused on how you're able to get there yourself. Of course, that also comes with, you know, talking with peers, doing what's necessary to get to that point. But just don't rush your progress, people. I see it happen all the time. People play some game, put their nose to the grindstone, and then sometimes just not even come out with any kind of results, because sometimes people don't know what they're grinding for. They're grinding to be good, but they don't really grind with any objectives. Like, say, I'm going to anti-air. I'm going to focus on my anti-air game, or I'm going to focus on, well, using League of Legends, I'm going to focus on my, you know, my CS or first-person shooters. I'm going to focus on my flick shots. Like, I know some things may be difficult to do in that regard, you know, with trying to force yourself to do those things, but I think that's a better way of kind of going about it, as opposed to just grinding with no objective, with no focus. It just gives you so much more to have a goal in mind, as opposed to just, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Now, granted, I'll be the first to say that, and I'll be honest, you know, and I'm honest with myself about this. I like to do the cool shit, right? So, like, for example, if you show me, we'll use League of Legends once again. if you show me a League of Legends video of some Akali montage, am I gonna try to practice that shit? Fucking right. Why not? I want to be able to execute it. Does that mean that, you know, the other things that revolve around my character, I wouldn't practice that? No, not at all. But, you know, having the execution to do something when it's time is also important. With going back to fighting games would be the same thing. You'd watch a combo video that has some pretty cool combos, but you have to discern what's practical and what's not, right? Because there are a lot of things where, say, for example, it'd be like fireball, dash, 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 all the way across the screen, then jump in, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not really practical, you know? That's just like showmanship, you know? But, you know, there are other combos that may hit harder, that may or may not be optimal. You should definitely try to learn said combos because it helps your execution. Not the impractical shit, but the stuff that actually matters, you know? Something that, and I mean, if you played fighting games enough, you know, to some extent, you can kind of discern, well, maybe I should go for that. Maybe I should go for this, you know? You should be able to think for yourself that maybe this would be a good idea, maybe this wouldn't. But once you learn those combos, then the idea now is to learn how to get into those situations to land those hits, you know? So that comes with experience and like knowing what you're looking for. Taking your chances, limit tests, you know? There's so much that goes into this whole rat race concept that, like, again, what I'm trying to really convey here is that take your time. You know, you don't have to rush to be good right now. You don't have to rush to be good, you know. You really just don't have, there's just no rush to be good. Now, of course, there's some games, again, like I said earlier, some games don't really have a long lifespan, so maybe you do have to rush. But, you know, to me, there will always be a scene for said games, you know. Unless the game just outright just dies and there's no more developer support or whatever, you know. We could say that, but then yet we have people still playing Melee and still finding more tech. People still playing Marvel 2, still finding tech. People still playing CVS 2, still finding tech. Really refining their game, you know, from the time the games come out till now, you know. And that's what makes those guys, you know, really great, because they're masters of their craft. But they took time. They took the time to learn how to be good. They took the time to learn the things necessary. They took the time to say, I'm going to hold some L's while trying to learn this. And I mean, I can't stress it enough. So, Avengers Endgame, this is just my advice to you guys. This is a real talk little session here. I just want you guys to know that, like, you can always get there if you put your mind to it. You can get there if you work hard enough. You can get there if you work smart. But don't, under any circumstances, put yourself under that microscope to be good immediately. You'll get there. Take your time, play, learn the game, be a student. Never ever stop being a student of the game. As long as you enjoy the game, you can never stop being a student of the game. Just keep learning, keep going. There's always something to learn in fighting game, even the most minute things. And not just fighting, just all games in general. Like, it doesn't matter what game genre it is. Like, speedrunning, it doesn't make a difference. You can learn so much more about the game, you know, and make yourself better through knowledge, through experience, through all the things that make, you know, a high-level player a high-level player. So, with that being said, that's going to be my TED Talk for the day about the rat race. Maybe we'll come back and revisit this topic again, maybe a little bit more in depth. This is just more of a off-the-cuff type thing. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little rant, this little TED Talk. Typical YouTube jargon: smash the like button, subscribe, follow, like, blah, blah, blah. Leave comments below, tell me how you feel. Blase, blase, whoop-de-whoop. Do it all down there. Do it down there at the bottom there. Let me know how you're feeling. You know, because I think this is a topic that doesn't really get talked about too much. So, talk to me. Tell me how you feel. Anyway, ShinKensou signing out. You guys take care. Deuces, gooses.